Imagine working your whole life for something only to achieve it and have people just be disgusted by you.
Yeah, that's kind of what's happening with Dutch athlete Steven van de Velde at the Olympics in Paris right now.
His presence has definitely stirred up some controversy, and it all goes back to something that happened back in 2014
So back then, Van de Velde was 19 and he went to England.
to meet a 12-year-old girl.
Right. They'd met on Facebook and well, he gave her alcohol and raped her.
And he was convicted.
He was.
It's just awful and really raises questions about, second chances and all
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
What makes it even more complex is that he didn't even serve his whole sentence.
Yeah, he was sentenced to 4 years, but only served a fraction of that because of,
Lenient laws in the Netherlands.
yeah, regarding these types of offenses with minors.
And a lot of people are really upset about him being allowed to compete.
Yeah. A lot of people are calling for him to be removed from the games because they say it disrespects victims and sends a bad message.
Especially with so many young people watching.
Right. And you have groups like the Brave Movement who are really speaking out against it.
They're a global advocate for ending child sexual violence.
Exactly. And they sent a letter to the Dutch Olympic Committee saying that letting him compete just minimizes how serious this is.
It's hard to disagree with that, but then some people think that everyone deserves a second chance.
They say he served his time and that he should be able to move on.
And it seems like the Dutch Olympic Committee agrees.
They've defended their decision by saying that he's met all their requirements and that he's really changed since then.
But it doesn't seem like the public agrees with that,
No, during his first match, he was met with a lot of boos.
which he ended up losing.
Yeah, it's a reminder that this is about more than just sports.
It's about how we view justice and forgiveness and how we judge someone's present based on what they did in the past.
It's complicated.
Yeah, where's the line? When does redemption become more important than public safety and the messages we send to society?
That's a tough question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. Makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of leads us to our next story.
Okay.
It's about social media and how things aren't always what they seem.
Well, this should be good.
Have you heard of Ballerina Farm?
Maybe. I think so, but I don't know much about it.
Well, it's this influencer, Hannah Nealman, and she's got like a ton of followers.
Okay.
And it's all about her life on this farm in Utah.
A farm.
Yeah, with like 8 kids and home-cooked meals and all.
8 kids.
Wow. Yeah, it's like a very idealized version of family life.
I can see that, but where's the controversy?
Well, she's often called a trad wife.
Oh, I've seen that term online.
Yeah, it's short for traditional wife, and it's basically about embracing traditional gender roles.
Yeah, some people love it and some people hate it.
Right, and that's where Ballerina Farm gets interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
So in July, the Times of London published this article about her,
Uh-oh.
and it kind of paints a different picture than what you see online. Well, it talks about her husband, Daniel, and how he's from a wealthy family,
Yeah.
and how he apparently rushed her into marriage and then moved her to this farm away from everything she knew.
So she didn't want to be there.
Well, the article makes it sound like he was controlling.
Yikes.
Like it says he wouldn't let her use pain relief during childbirth.
Oh my God.
And she wanted to go to Greece for her birthday, but he gave her an apron instead.
Wow, that's harsh.
And of course, people online started to freak out.
Yeah, I bet.
They were saying she looked unhappy in her videos and that she was basically trapped.
So is she trapped?
Well, that's the thing. The author of the article claimed she couldn't talk to Hannah alone.
Like Daniel was always there.
Yeah. But then someone leaked the audio from the interview.
Interesting.
And in the audio, Hannah's saying she's happy and that she loves her life.
Oh, wow. So now we have 2 totally different stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Or who do we believe?
I mean, it's impossible to know for
Yeah,
sure, right?
right.
I guess this whole thing just shows how easy it is to get the wrong idea about someone's life just from social media.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, how much is real and how much is just for show.
Yeah, and it makes you think about who gets to decide what's a good life and what's not.
Right. Is it the person living it or the people watching?
That's a tough one.
It is. It really makes you think.
Yeah, this Ballerina Farm thing, it's like a window into how social media can twist reality.
And how we all try to figure out what's true and what's not.
It's definitely something to think about.
Mhm.
While we're talking about all this online stuff, it's easy to forget about what's happening in the real world.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's some pretty disturbing stuff happening out there.
That's true. And I think it's important that we talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough to hear, but it's important.
Definitely. So what's our next story?
Well, this one comes from Texas, and it's about an 18-year-old named Everalda Coop Isom.
Okay.
She gave birth behind the food truck where she worked.
Behind a food truck.
Yeah, and then she put the baby in a dumpster.
Oh my gosh, that's just awful what happened.
It's a miracle, really, but someone heard the baby crying and called 911.
So they saved the baby.
They did. Thankfully, the baby's okay now.
That's amazing. What about the mother?
She was arrested and is facing charges for abandoning a child.
I can't even imagine what would drive someone to do something like that.
Apparently, she told the police she was afraid her boyfriend would leave her if he found out.
It's just so sad.
Mhm.
It really makes you think about the struggle some young women face.
It does. It shows how important it is to have support systems in place, so people know they're not alone.
Exactly, and that there are options.
Right.
So what's the next story?
This one takes us to the UK, where a 17-year-old boy attacked a group of children at a dance studio.
A dance studio?
Yeah, they were having a Taylor Swift-themed class. Imagine that, little kids all excited, and then this happens.
Oh my gosh, it's just heartbreaking what happened.
Well, he just started stabbing people.
Why? What was the reason?
Honestly, they still don't know the motive.
It's just senseless.
It is 2 of the children died and 7 others were hurt, along with 2 adults who tried to stop him.
It's a reminder that terrible things can happen anywhere.
It's true, and it makes you think about how we can prevent these things. Maybe more awareness of mental health issues could help.
I think so. We need to do more to help people who are struggling.
We do.
So what's our last story for today?
This one is about a 12-year-old girl named Maria Gomez Perez. She went missing from her home in Georgia a couple months ago.
I remember hearing about that. It was all over the news.
Yeah, she was gone for 2 months, but thankfully they found her in Ohio.
Oh, thank goodness. How did they find her?
Well, she had been talking to a lot of adult men on Facebook.
It's scary how easy it is for predators to find kids online.
It really is. In this case, Maria's dad got a message on Facebook from someone claiming to be her.
And was it her?
No, but the police were able to trace the message to a house in Ohio.
Wow, so they found her through Facebook.
They did. They staked out the house and were able to rescue her.
It's a good reminder that, everything we do online can be tracked.
It definitely is. And it's so important to talk to kids about online safety.
Absolutely. They need to know how to protect themselves.
They do.
Well, these have been some heavy stories.
Yeah, they have. But it's important to talk about these things, to face the reality of what's happening in the world.
I agree. It's easy to get caught up in all the online stuff. But there are real issues out there that we need to address.
We do.
So in this deep dive, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have from Olympic athletes to social media influencers to real-life crimes.
It's a lot to process, but I think it's important to think about these things, to challenge our assumptions and try to understand the world better.
I agree, and I think these stories really make us ask some tough questions.
Like what?
Like, how do we balance redemption with consequences? How do we know what to believe online? And how can we keep our kids safe?
These are questions that don't have easy answers.
They don't, but they're worth thinking about.
They are. And if anyone wants to share their thoughts, be sure to connect with us on social media.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
And if you're interested in more deep dives into fascinating stories, be sure to subscribe to the show.
And thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening.